Compton, correct?
That's what we originally heard the call. We were over downtown LA at the teachers rally when they called and said that there was a carjacking suspect in a gray Kia heading through Compton off of Wilmington. He eventually got on the 105 freeway and headed east and got on it. But I've been so tight on the shot here, I haven't kept up with exactly where he is. But it looks like he's right
Alameda corridor.
He's on the Alameda corridor right now.
We have Rick Dickert here as well, chiming in also. So, Rick, you believe this is the Alameda corridor?
Yeah, that's Alameda there, and Vince is tracking that. And Vince is a pursuit going north or south down the corridor there?
It looks, which way is it going, Adam? It's going southbound right now. Okay, now
southbound,
he just turned off.
Make the turn. So, dangerous situation for a number of reasons. Obviously, you see the wet pavement. Rain has been falling all morning long here in Southern California. And this guy wants to get away. You know, a carjacking suspect here. We're unclear if he has any other wants or warrants, but a dangerous individual. And this is an area that is highly congested. You could see it's an industrial area. There's a lot of big rig traffic, a lot of automotive traffic as well, sort of a mixed residential industrial area. So LA County Sheriff's Department, each in terms of how they want to handle a pursuit, the first thing, they want to make sure that no innocent bystanders get hurt. And they try to do whatever they can to make that happen. Unfortunately, when it's on surface streets like this and the erratic driving behavior of these suspects makes that difficult. They want to terminate this as quickly as possible with nobody getting injured. And if they have that opportunity to pit this vehicle, although it's going much too quickly at this time, again, you want to have speeds down under 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour or so they can spin. In an area like this, you got to make sure that you're not going to endanger anybody else on this wet day, which makes it even more challenging.
And you can see how wet it is out there just with the tire streaks through the water, how much more dangerous this is because it is raining. And you could see a number of cruisers just chasing right behind this guy. Again, this started in Compton as a carjacking. That's a 2000 Kia. And a number of cruisers pursuing him right now. And we saw just a few minutes ago, he blew through an intersection. He did not have the right of way. Right now, again, police, of course, being a bit more cautious as they go through the intersection.
And a lot of time officers will try if they can, because this is an all call. Any agency that is nearby will aid in this pursuit to make sure that they protect those intersections. In fact, as we come into frame on some of those, you will see officers positioning themselves, holding traffic back to prevent anybody from getting hurt. This is primarily, it appears to be just on surface streets thus far, but you can see the rain is picking up, very slick conditions, which makes it that more challenging. We do see officers from all over Southern California trained. Now, there is a facility off the 5 and the 405, the north end of the San Fernando Valley, near the LA Reservoir, where they train for pursuits. And you see these mock pursuits, and what they do during some of those training exercises is they wet down the asphalt so that officers know what they're going to be dealing with when conditions
during that carjacking. So, of course, worrisome situation now for officers once they do try to stop this suspect, or once they are able to, that he may or may not have a firearm as well.
And let's try to get a location update from Vince up there in Skyfox. Vince, what's the direction now, and what community?
We're still southbound, and we're down here in this highly industrialized area. This is part of the train yards down here. That is part of the Alameda corridor, and I believe he's still on Alameda down here. But this is now, as you can see from the shot, it's all train yards, semis.
So heading towards Wilmington, the harbor area, would you say at this time?
Yeah, right. They're heading southbound. They're heading southbound now, down toward the Wilmington and Long Beach area.
And now that area, as Vince just said, you could see the train yard there and all the tractor-trailer traffic from that area coming in and out of the harbor, and those containers on those railways coming up from the harbor area as well. So now perhaps volume, they'll get a chance to do something. But he may become disabled on his own, Vanessa, and that he's moving at such a high rate of speed. And with slick conditions like that, you can hydroplane and spin out so easily.
Taking any one of those turns, he could hydroplane. And you could see the radar on the right hand of your screen. It is pouring throughout Southern California, including the Alameda corridor, where we're seeing this chase happening right now. If you're just joining us, police are in pursuit of a carjacking suspect, possibly used a firearm in that carjacking. We have Vince Mack and Rick Dickert here as well. So what are you seeing right now, Rick? What is the possibility that they're going to be able to stop this?
It looks like that one officer, if we pan the camera just a little bit to the right, that one officer is coming up a little bit quicker than what we've seen. So perhaps they're looking to have that opportunity to just tap him on the back end, that pursuit intervention technique, which we see all so often with these pursuits, to disable these vehicles, spin them out. But then they're in a situation where, if it's accurate, that this suspect has to track the suspect from the air, and that's what they're doing with that LA County helicopter. And how's the weather right now, Vince? Is the ceiling lowered from earlier this morning?
Yes, it is. When we took off out of Van Nuys about 45 minutes ago, it was really coming down out there. And the sky here, the visibility is about 2 miles at the best.
Yeah, with that
right
moderate rain.
And showers.
And as you can see, the radar, Vanessa, in the lower right corner, wherever you see the oranges and the yellows and the reds, that's indicative of the heavier precipitation, the greater reflectivity off those Doppler radars. And it looks like a good band of at least moderate rain is moving through this area where this pursuit has been taking place. And it does appear, which is typical, that the suspects kind of staying in the same area. We see that a lot as well because they're perhaps familiar with the area. They know the streets, and that may give them an opportunity to get away.
And we're seeing him weaving in and out of these trucks and these other vehicles. It looks like a residential area at some points as well. So this is a very dangerous situation. We're also learning, Rick, right now, LA County saying this carjacking occurred a few days ago on January 12th. And this morning is when officers spotted that car and then pursued this suspect.
Wow. So he, yeah, a couple days ago, and he stayed in the neighborhood and he just continued on his way and in the vehicle. And now they've caught up with him. And he's on the run, and everybody asks, why do they run? Well, they're not in custody, and there's always a chance that they can get away, and at times they do. All right, pulling into a parking lot here. Let's see what he's doing here. And you can see all the pedestrians there. Oh, really dangerous situation. Nearly missing one. He was using that parking lot on the corner there, the Dollar Tree store there, to make his way over to the next street. So this is a time now where they really have to think about what they're going to do to bring this to a safe conclusion, because he's putting a lot of people at risk, driving recklessly in horrible conditions out there. The wet weather, the visibility is down as well. You can see it on the lens there from Skyfox across the center divider, making a left turn. And here we go. Let's see if he tries to pit him here. He's slowing down a little bit, and there isn't much traffic ahead, but now he's pulling into a gated area, it looks like. Let's see what happens here. That gate is open. Maybe he knows this facility. I don't know if it's a residential area or not, but he is definitely slowed down at this time. And this would be a time where, if there is a chance, if there's nobody else nearby, they could
and it does look, yeah, like a residential area. So we're seeing a parking lot, speed bumps, police right after him. So hopefully this comes to a safe end and they could stop him within this parking lot.
And there may be a reason why he's here. He may be close to a location that he is connected with, a friend or a family member of some sort. Again, the pursuit, as Vince said, pretty much back into the same area where it started. There's somebody there, looks like just somebody filming with their phone. But slowed down considerably. Not clear if the vehicle has been disabled at all, maybe running out of gas. We saw the one pursuit that made its way down into San Diego County, and because of that fact, making a U-turn. Wow, let's see what happens here. And he just completely evaded all of those sheriff's deputies, now ripping back in a different direction. And they had a chance over the speed bumps.
And now he's going and speeding up again in this area.
And let's see if there's any other deputies that were. No, now he's going back right where he came from. Wow, he evaded all of those LA County sheriff's
deputies. He knows where he is right now, that he's familiar with that neighborhood, considering he was able to circle around, knew that they would follow him, and now he's exiting out of that gate.
What a bold move that was, just doing a 180 in that narrow area. And all those sheriff's deputies, those vehicles there you saw, Vanessa, all lined up in one way. And hey, he said, whoop, I got a free go here. And sure enough, he made it. But that LA County Sheriff's helicopter is watching his every move from above and directing officers. You saw a unit right there, directing all of the officers that are involved in this. There could be some other agencies as well, some nearby jurisdictions, including the LA County Sheriff's Department. They're the ones who initiated the pursuit. They're the lead on this. Again, a carjacking suspect, if you're just tuning in, being pursued here through the Compton area, down into Wilmington, primarily around the Alameda corridor. Now he's coming to a stop. He's obeying that stoplight. What do you say?
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's evaded a number of stoplights. At one point, we almost saw him hit somebody, but look at that. He's actually stopping here.
And the officers stop and they open the door, but then he just continues on his way. And you could see some other units there. And again, that helicopter is helping out as well.
And it's that continued cat and mouse situation that we always see during these pursuits. They stop, the officers get out, and then they take off once again.
Yeah, and again, being with the condition, look at how many units are tracking him now. Wow, I count perhaps 10 or more. Primarily from the LA County Sheriff's Department. What do you see from up there right now, Vince?
Well, right now we're seeing just a gaggle of Sheriff's Department vehicles. We also heard from the Sheriff's Department helicopter that they were going to back off a little bit. It was getting a little too dangerous here on the local streets.
Yeah,
and they have backed way off. They're kind of in a surveillance mode right now. They won't get away from the helicopter, but to take the pressure off that individual, they're kind of backing away a little bit.
And so interesting to see that now he's abiding by all the traffic rules of the road. He's got a red light and he stopped there. And he's got to see some of those units in the back. They're not far enough back that he doesn't know that he's still being trailed at this time. But there they all are. Look at them. Wow. So
and the scary situation
so he's heading southbound on Wilmington?
No, I believe he's heading northbound here.
He's heading back northbound. Okay. Again, he made a complete stop at that light, sat there for a couple minutes, and is on his way. And now it has really backed off on speed. But you could see the units. Yeah, they're in more of a surveillance mode, it appears, because those units, and there is the surveillance mode right there. That helicopter, that LA County airship circling and watching him overhead. Perhaps he feels he may have been able to evade those deputy sheriffs behind him. Rain continues to fall moderately, but he's backed off on his speed. He's stopping at the lights now, and we'll see how this goes.
And again, this all started in Compton. It was a carjacking suspect. Now we're hearing from LA County that carjacking occurred on January 12th. And then it was this morning that they spotted the car and started pursuing this suspect. He took off, and we've been seeing him through the streets, beginning in Compton, through the Alameda corridor. And we even saw him go through a gated community as well, and was able to evade these officers. And
primarily staying in the same area, in and around Compton, that he very may well be familiar with. That's where they picked this suspect up. The carjacking, the alleged carjacking having occurred a few days ago, but they finally were able to spot the vehicle. They lit him up, and the pursuit was on. And he is being chased by, at least from a distance now, by a number of LA County Sheriff's Deputy units, as well as that LA County airship that's circling overhead as well. Rain continues to fall. Those deputy sheriffs have backed off enough that he can try to ditch. But
the psychology behind this is so interesting, considering he was going so fast, speeding through intersections. Then he decided to go into a supermarket, a dollar store, I believe it was, parking lot. Then he went into a gated community, and now he's back into these residential streets and going the speed limit and abiding by traffic lights.
And those deputy sheriffs are a good block away from the suspect. You could see them back there, about 4 or 5 of them. And he's sitting there in the right lane, decides to continue on and make his way.
And what would be the deciding factor as to they were chasing him so diligently earlier, so close to him as well, and now they're so far back from the car?
Again, it was the lead commander who in this pursuit, and he saw that the risk was so intense to the public, especially going through that parking lot, that he decided to pull his units back, watch from the air. They know the vehicle. It seems like he's staying in the same general area on Central. And coming from the Compton area, again, Vanessa, he stayed in the same general vicinity, familiar with the vicinity perhaps. This is where this all started, and we don't know where the carjacking took place, if it did, because it was a couple days ago, if it took place in the Compton area as well. But that happened a couple days ago, and they were just able to catch up with the suspect now. Again, a different story than what we saw, several minutes ago, when this suspect was ripping through intersections with red lights, narrowly missing vehicles, and narrowly missing pedestrians as well, at least in that one parking lot.
And we're hearing also he may have gone over a spike strip. Did you see at any point any officers throw down a spike strip?
I didn't see anything. Did you,
Vince? I didn't either.
No, but you know what? When he went through that gated community, he drove backwards. He went through the outlane where they have those spikes that stick out of the ground, that you can't back up or go through. So, and he seems to have slowed down after driving over those.
But he's still moving at a good clip down Central here, still on Central Avenue, waiting at the light here, heading northbound, coming up towards the 105 freeway. And we'll see if he chooses to get on a freeway finally. He has chosen not to thus far. But you can see a lot of traffic there on this wet Monday late morning here in Southern California, and the radar continues to show that stream of moisture heading basin here, where this pursuit has been ongoing now for the better part of a half hour, if not longer.
And luckily he's been slowing down, as you mentioned, Rick, because at one point we saw him going extremely fast. They were clocking him at 60, 70 miles per hour at one point.
On surface streets, yeah.
Right, on surface streets,
with
exactly.
With wet conditions, because the hydroplaning can occur depending upon the tread on your tire, how deep that water is, how long that ponding of water is. It can happen rather quickly and cause motorists some problems. And perhaps those sheriff's deputies were hoping for that. Maybe it would be a rain-related pit maneuver in that the wet conditions would disable the vehicle. Not the case. He's continuing on, and again, those deputy sheriffs have really backed off, and in doing so, the level of intensity, at least with the driver, the suspect, the alleged carjacking suspect, has backed off as well. He's moving at a good clip anyway here, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, in that if they're just going to continue to track it from the air, and if there's deputies following. Here is a transition, I believe, with the 110 freeway, Vince. Is he going to make that transition?
That's right. He's on a transition road here to take the 110
north.
And it appears he's taking the 110 north here, yes.
So up through South Los Angeles, that would head you up towards the Coliseum into downtown LA. And any units on the freeway at all? Because now that he's on the freeway, CHP is going to pick this up as well.
I didn't see any. Oh, there they are.
There's a few right there.
They're about 15 car lengths back.
So CHP has been alerted for sure now that it has entered onto an interstate, part of their jurisdiction. So they're going to be called out in force through the South LA area. All the units nearby will hop on the freeway, perhaps hold traffic on the ramps and continue to track this. Northbound 110 freeway through South LA, up towards the Coliseum, up towards downtown Los Angeles. This pursuit now has entered the 105 and now 110 freeway here, having pretty much stayed on surface streets for the duration of the pursuit in and around the Compton area.
And if you're just joining us, I'm Vanessa Borge alongside Vince Mack and Sky Fox and Rick Diggard here in the Fox 11 studios. This is a police chase that started around 10:51 is when we first started hearing about the chase. It began in Compton. It was a carjacking suspect. That carjacking occurred, what we're hearing from LA County, on January 12th, and then police this morning spotted the car and began pursuing this suspect. He went through residential areas, and he even went through a gated community, a parking lot of a dollar store as well, endangering those around him. Police were pretty close behind, I would say, to the suspect's car, and then they got word to back off a bit, and that's why you're seeing them such a lengths away from the suspect right now.
And what about an airship, Vince? Is there still a from above sheriff's ship?
Yes, the sheriff's ship is right over the scene here. I don't know if I can see him in the shot, but he's right there. He is.
There he is, tracking him. You can see the Faith Dome there off into the distance. He'll be coming up on Manchester, then up towards Exposition, then the 10 freeway, and it's interesting. This is a suspect that's was able to evade those deputies in that narrow area, that one where he just did a 180 and came back, and there was no other officers to really box him in.
We are stuck where we are because of LAX airspace.
Right, so you're not able to get any closer to that angle. If you're wondering why Sky Fox right now is in this angle, they are in that airspace and aren't able to fly and get closer to the scene. But we are getting a perfect view right now and seeing him going much faster than the other vehicles now.
And if you pan the camera a bit up toward the right there, he was in the mental state that individual is in. If you're running from the police, first of all, that's not a good sign. But if you know that this individual is wanted for an alleged violent crime, then that makes it even more dangerous, obviously, with a weapon as well. Whether or not he still has the weapon that may have been used during that incident, that carjacking on Saturday, that's unclear at this time. But what's clear is he's been able to evade officers thus far, and as long as he stays out of custody, he's a happy guy. And that's why these guys run, because they feel that there is an opportunity for them to evade police and go back to their normal day. We see it every so often. 18% thereabouts of LAPD pursuits end in which the suspects are able to get away. But at times it's safety, it's public safety. Units will back off, as we see here, and they will just try to do whatever they can to protect the public when a suspect is driving so erratically, putting the public at such risk. All right, exiting the freeway, let's try to get an off-ramp here before the 10 freeways. Northbound side on the 110 freeway. MLK Boulevard. He's getting off on MLK, so this is South LA. This is close to the Coliseum, Exposition Park. Again, slowing down, and he's got to see those units behind him now. They're close. And you can see CHP, as I said, Those are the units that are on that ramp right there. And now
they're
it'll be
turning
interesting to
around.
see if he gets a little more agitated, knowing that these officers are trailing him and trailing him closely. He got into the left lane, left turn lane. Nowhere to go right now because both lanes are occupied. There really isn't an area to squeeze through.
And he's been abiding by those traffic lights, actually,
Still
for
is.
the last 30 minutes or so. We've been watching him stop at red lights, and then police, of course, stay back to keep themselves and the public safe also.
Making a left, which would be a westbound turn on MLK, going underneath the 110 Harbor Freeway. So he's going to be heading in MLK is an east-west thoroughfare through the city, and you can take this all the way over towards the west side of LA. Let's see it. He's going to just get right back on the freeway, perhaps. Is that a ramp? Vince, is he getting back on the south?
Yes, it
110 now?
is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. He's heading back southbound.
Southbound on the 110 freeway, back to where he came. And we've seen this happen a couple of times where, and we've seen it a number of times with previous pursuits, that they get to a point like, I got to get back to where I know the area, and whether or not that's his frame of mind or not, unclear. But 110 freeway looks unusually light. I know it's midday and the morning rush is long ended, and the afternoon is still a couple hours away from getting going. Rain continues to fall across the Southern California region. No breaks in sight, as you can see with our radar there, tracking this storm in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And whenever you see those blips, those yellows, those oranges and reds, that's higher reflectivity. That means more intense rain is falling in that particular area. And there has been some moderate, occasionally heavy rain across the basin where this pursuit has been ongoing. Now southbound on the 110, coming away from MLK. Looks like he's got his hazards on, and those windows are tinted, as we've seen, which makes it a little bit more dangerous because you can't see what's going on. Exiting at 51st Street. That's a CHP unit now, so it looks like CHP may be the lead on this at this time, having entered the freeways. As I said, let's see, that's a good area to pit this guy, perhaps. And he has slowed down a bit, but now he's backing off that CHP SUV. 51st Street, right in the heart of South LA. This is south of the Coliseum, south of Exposition Park. And he's still slowing down and abiding by the rules. He's got his flashers on.
And turning those corners cautiously because he has to at this point with the weather conditions out there. You see how slick the roads are. He can hydroplane at any point.
That's right. And it's very unique to see him, to see his manner change, because the wet weather was not just crossing over Figueroa. Figueroa is a north-south there on the west side of the 110. He is heading westbound on 51st Street. Remember all the numbered streets starting at 1st Street in downtown LA, going all the way to the 200s in the harbor area. And he is heading westbound through the South Los Angeles community. Now, this is definitely going to head Skyfox into LAX airspace yet again. And this is a residential area. There's a lot of foot traffic, even though it's wet. It's very likely there had to have been some damage to the automobile. And again, now that the pursuit has been going on for some time, you start to think about how much gas was in that vehicle when the pursuit started. And if that comes into play, all we do know is that this is a potentially armed and dangerous suspect, a carjacking suspect. That incident occurred on Saturday, still being pursued here. And it looks like CHP is still the lead, that lead SUV vehicle, tracking him very closely now. So they're getting a little bit more aggressive, making a hard right turn, almost narrowly hit that other sedan at the intersection. Now we're going to see if he's going to pit this guy right now. Off to on the lower left there, you see. He's getting closer. And he just, against traffic there. All over surface streets here in the numbered streets in South LA. And he's really picking up speed. Again, you see the officers as they get closer, the driver gets more.
And that's what I mean. I mean, look how tight.
There
we go.
There we go. All right, guns are drawn.
Oh,
wow, he's taking off his clothes. He's taking off. And he's getting strict orders from that, and now he's got his hands up.
Right, it looks like.
Or is it a female? I can't tell if that's a male or a female.
We're hearing that it is a woman.
It is a woman.
She's her hands
walking
backwards.
She's doing what she's told. And we don't know if there was another individual in the vehicle, if there was just the sole occupant, the driver. But the pursuit stopped. And
luckily coming to a safe end. Hopefully nobody else was in that vehicle. As far as we know, we don't.
Yeah, there's the vehicle right there, and the doors are both shut.
I think it's in the alleyway.
Oh, the vehicle's in the alleyway, so that car That gray car there is.
All right. It looks like this is coming
that's not
finally
it.
to an end an hour later. And coming to a peaceful end, thankfully.
Yeah, we haven't heard of anybody being injured, but we saw a lot of erratic behavior by that
A lot
by
of
that
close
suspect.
calls,
A
too.
lot of close calls, and hopefully we'll find out that nobody was hurt. But a female suspect being detained, an alleged carjacking suspect.